All right, guys. So Capcom had their presentation today, and a lot of you guys wanted me to react to it, give my thoughts on the presentation. And I gotta say, man, there's not many ways that you could really stink up a joint worse than Square, but somehow Capcom managed to do it. Capcom officially managed to have probably one of the worst phoned in E3 presentations of all time. Square was bad. Square was underwhelming, but at least we saw new stuff and things that weren't announced before that they were showing besides Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 16, right? We saw the Pixel Perfect remasters, and we saw a couple of other things that were shown. But Capcom, what were you thinking? What is the major malfunction here? Even the Intellivision Amico presentation was more exciting than the Capcom presentation. Jesus Christ. Let's go over what these guys failed on. First of all, we got an announcement for DLC for Resident Evil Village. Okay. Tell us something we didn't know was going to come. We knew there was going to be DLC because Biohazard, Resident Evil 7 had it. And why wouldn't Resident Evil 8 Village have it? No other details were given about it. It was just a quick and easy little teaser saying additional DLC is coming, but no specifics were given. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a Mommy Milkers DLC where we get to see Lady D and her quadruple Ds and she shakes them in front of us and it's in VR. I mean, that would make up for this trash E3 presentation. On that, we got a Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin trailer. I'm going to check out Monster Hunter Stories 2. It looks cool. Monster Hunter Rise was all right. But again, something else that we knew was already coming out really soon. More of just like I guess a reminder. In fact, it felt like this was a phoned in Nintendo Direct. You know when Nintendo has like those Nintendo Directs that don't really give you anything new and it's just a bunch of nonsense that we already knew was coming? That's basically all this was up at this point. And then we got the release date, July 9th, 2021. It's coming out on the Nintendo Switch. Pre-orders are available, but again, we already knew this was coming. So weird that we've gotten 2 Monster Hunter games on the Switch, like practically back to back, but I mean, it's not bad. They also showed some updates for Rise, some updates coming up with events, downloadable content beginning June 18th. And June 24th, July 9th, and then going into August, there's going to be several different Capcom collabs with Monster Hunter Rise. So it was a pretty Monster Hunter heavy presentation. Now we got Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, which delivers 10 new cases, 8 new escapades, available July 27th. It's going to be on PlayStation 4, Switch, and Steam. Yeah, I've heard all sorts of great things about the Ace Attorney games. I'm going to probably check this one out for sure. But I'm sure some of you guys were wanting some juicier meat on the bones. But they do have 2 new gameplay features on here. Dance of Deduction allows Sholmes to spin his conjecture and face off with his opponents in an effort to prove his theories correct in a somewhat literal and somewhat metaphorical dance. So there's a Dance of Deduction mode that was revealed. It seems okay. It seems cool. There's summation examination, which is the second. It takes place in the courtroom, and you'll seek to sway the jurisdiction by finding flaws in their reasoning and objecting with evidence to back up your claim. So 2 different modes with Ace Attorney. And then they went to esports. For some reason, Capcom went to esports with Street Fighter V Talk. They announced the Capcom Pro Tour, which is going to be 32 Street Fighter V events across 19 different territories for players to get a shot at a Capcom Cup. Kind of weird that Capcom chose to close out their E3 with esports. And I get it. You're building an esports community, but with Capcom, people want to see games. People want to see Mega Man. People want to see Resident Evil. People want to see Dino Crisis. Like literally right now, as we're speaking, Dino Crisis is trending worldwide on Twitter. Like there's even memes out there saying Dino Crisis next year. Dino Crisis next year for E3, and it's always like a rinse and repeat. Like a lot of these fans feel that they just want games like Capcom's forgotten that Mega Man exists. Marvel vs. Capcom, they could do something with that. Dino Crisis. I mean, it seems like all we're starting to get now is Street Fighter, Resident Evil, and Monster Hunter as far as Capcom goes over here. I'm actually surprised we got Capcom Arcade Stadium and Ghouls and Ghosts Resurrection this last year, if I'm being honest. I know Capcom did have that leak where they were essentially hacked earlier this year, and a lot of their stuff was hacked out and leaked. But this was just like not even an hour-long presentation that a good chunk of the last 10 minutes was just esports. Like, I don't get how they managed to bomb this. Worse than what Square Enix did. Worse than what Intellivision did. Like, this honestly is probably the worst E3 presentation so far. And I know a lot of people right now overall are just saying E3 as a whole has sucked. I know, I get it. People want these huge banger announcements. And Square kind of underwhelmed a little bit. And Capcom underwhelmed a lot a bit. Xbox, I think, did okay so far. As far as everything else left that I give a crap about, we're just down to Nintendo tomorrow. So there's no way in hell, knock on wood, that Nintendo is going to screw up worse than Capcom or Square did. As a matter of fact, I think Nintendo could just announce Breath of the Wild 2 and win E3 at this point, because I don't see the stage is literally set for Capcom to make loads of money with a lot of their franchises, and all we get is updates on games that we already knew. Like, where are the stinking games, Capcom? Where are the stinking games? Where's the beloved franchises that we've known for years? Like, there's so much stuff they're sitting on. They can make a new Final Fight. They can make a new Strider. They can make a new Dino Crisis. They can make a new Marvel vs. Capcom. They can make a new, like, anything that's in their library. I mean, for God's sake, let's start throwing some of the forgotten things, like Forgotten Worlds. What else is Capcom a whiz at? I mean, look at literally all the things. It just seems like it's Street Fighter 5. Like, where's the Street Fighter 6 at this point? And then the esports thing, I don't understand how they could have dropped the ball on this. I know a lot of people are upset. I mean, if you go to Twitter right now and take a look, ridiculous. I cannot believe Capcom bombed that bad. They bombed. That was the worst presentation. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, guys. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching, as always. Peace out.